Good morning, Internet family. I feel like it's been such a long time since I've talked to you guys. I've actually got quite a few things that I want to talk about, but let's just stick with one while I'm doing one video. So what I want to talk to you today about is donkey duty. Some of you, especially if you were around a year or two ago with me, might know what I'm talking about already. If you don't, obviously I'm going to explain. So a couple of days ago was Palm Sunday, right? The day that we celebrate Jesus coming into Jerusalem on a donkey, on a baby donkey actually, on a colt that had been borrowed. We'll call it borrowed, kind of just grabbed up and like, hey, we're taking this for this purpose alone. And we celebrate Palm Sunday, you know, it's a celebratable, is that a word? Event. You know, this is Jesus coming into the holy city to be with his people, and his people are celebrating him, his people are honoring him, his people are welcoming him, his people are rejoicing with him. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. So we call it Palm Sunday because they were laying out palm branches and their cloaks for him to come in on instead of the street, kind of like our version of laying out a red carpet, you know. It was a memorable thing. Now we know what happens next. These people don't know what happens next, even though it was them that was going to do it. We know what happens next, and we know why that makes this you know, even more celebratable event. But I want to talk about the donkey. And there's just a couple of lines in a couple of the Gospels that even talk about the donkey. The donkey that was tied up somewhere. Somebody owned this donkey. This donkey had never been ridden on, which is also important to know that, you know, the donkey was a vessel of humility for Jesus, and it was untainted and unused by any other person at that point. But that's irrelevant to what I'm talking about. I'm talking about donkey duty. I'm talking about the two unnamed disciples that were sent after the donkey. You know, and it's interesting too. I have to share this part. It's interesting that I was so big on donkey duty for such a long time. Like, it was all I ever talked about, it seemed like. And I forgot about it. And then yesterday, I listened to a message from a pastor that I no longer really listen to very often. And he didn't call it that, but he was talking about it kind of the same way that I do. And I was like, wow, because so much of my life is like this for me now today. Okay. So these two disciples that were unnamed in the Bible, we don't get told which two were sent, but Jesus told two disciples to go find this donkey, told them exactly where it would be, told them exactly what to do with it, and to bring it to them. And it's kind of like bam, bam, bam. We're given all of this in just a few short verses of Jesus sending the disciples after the donkey being gotten, Jesus getting on the donkey, coming into Jerusalem, laying the crowds, laying the branches down, the people of Jerusalem asking, who is this man? All this stuff that really spanned. It's incredible to me they fit so much into a day sometimes, like they would do so much. But all of this really spanned a great length of the day, and it's just 4 or 5 verses, I think, something like that covers it. But I want to talk about the two going after the donkey. Like, can you imagine being 2 of the 12? There's 12 of you guys, and you guys are all constantly jostling for the, you know, you're even asking Jesus himself. Your mothers are coming asking Jesus, like, can my son sit right next to you in glory? Like, you guys want to be next to the Lord. You guys want to be doing the important stuff. You guys want to be, you know, like the top, not the bottom. And you and one other disciple get asked to go steal a donkey. You know, like, are you kidding me? And you're not given an explanation. You're not told why. You're not told why you're going and jacking somebody's livestock. You're not told why you're being asked to go and do such a tedious, menial, and seemingly silly and pointless thing. Like, can't we send someone else for this? There's hundreds and hundreds of people following us. Ask one of them to go get you a donkey. You know? And what we see, though, is the disciples go and do it. Now, we're not told whether or not they were happy about it. We're not told whether or not they grumbled about it. We're not told how they felt about it or how they acted about it. But Jesus winds up on the donkey. And what we see next is the picture of humility. Because, you know, me being one of the disciples asked to go with the donkey, I might have been like, I don't want to get a donkey. I'm going to go find him like the most biggest, beautifulest, fastest steed, and I'm going to cover it in a red blanket, and but that's not what was needed. Number one, for the prophecy in Zechariah 9:9 to come true, him riding in on the colt, and number two, for the picture of humility that he had to be. They were expecting a king and a warrior. Him coming in on some grand horse would have been exactly what they expected, but he had to portray to them what he truly was, coming in, even though he's the king, but coming in humility, coming in as a servant, even though he was a king, and coming in on the baby donkey is how he needed to do that, and the task got done. And now this is where us doing donkey duty comes in. So I'll never forget, like, when I first started hearing this was actually around the same time that we first started doing, like, I got given more authority in the job I was in, right around that same time. And at that same exact time, we were given more tasks. I was delegating those that I was in authority over to do certain things that I wasn't happy about doing. I wasn't happy about scrubbing toilets at a facility that we did stuff at. I wasn't excited about a lot of the stuff. I needed a lot of growth and humility. I'm gonna go ahead and admit that. And a lot of small, stupid errands, like, as I was given more authority and given more control and was in more of a leadership role, I had a lot of other stuff to do. Smaller stuff, littler things that seemed less important but were super crucial to the operation of the ministry that I was working in. Like, for example, taking the cars for oil changes and just silly little things like that became my tasks. And every time I had to do something that I didn't want to do, but I knew was also vital for the function of the ministry, I would just tell myself I'm doing donkey duty, and it gave me a way to laugh at it, but here's the thing. So the disciples didn't know that, so we must honor the disciples for going and getting that donkey, because they didn't know. They had no idea what they were doing and how important what they were doing actually was. Like I said, we don't know if they grumbled or not, but they did what they were supposed to do, what they were asked to do, and it got done. And it's part of a crucial part of history and of this story and of Jesus and what happened for him to save our souls and the victory that he won for eternity. But we know that each thing that we do, me scrubbing toilets, whatever it is that you do, you scrubbing toilets, you dealing with that pesky coworker, whatever it may be, setting up or tearing down after events at church or other outreach programs, whatever it is that you're doing that seems menial or seems tedious or maybe even seems pointless, we know, because we've read the Bible, right? We've read the Bible and we've seen it time and time again in our lives. We know that the little things that make the biggest differences. We know that the little acts of obedience and the posture of our lives and the willingness to be humble and to do the little things, being faithful in little, you'll be given much. We know how that works, and we know that these things are all just deposits into the future that we have, not just our lives, although that too, obviously, but in the kingdom and in our eternity, so we know. So today, for example, this is an example, I've been given just like a tiny little sneak peek into what the Lord has for me in the future. I mean, I'm going to missionary school, but meanwhile, 4 or 5 days a week, I spend at 2, 3, 4 different places each of those days, scrubbing toilets, washing floors, picking up after other people. And if I wanted to, I could be like, this is but in reality, I know that this is building something in me, and in reality, I know that this is donkey duty. This really is. Whether or not it's something I want to do, this is a menial, tedious task every single time that is depositing into the future. That is building the future. It may not look like that now, but I'm sure going to get that donkey didn't for them either. So we all have it. Look, we all have it. There's a gazillion things every single day that we don't want to do. We don't, but it's important. It's important that we do all those little things, and it's important that we do them with a positive attitude, and we do them remembering what it can do for the future and the big story, the big picture. We don't know what Jesus is going to do with our donkey. You guys have a great day. Happy hump day.